Aloha again to the talk story part of Dr. Dean Hawaii, and I have as my guest a man I'm privileged to say is my best friend. In some ways, Bob is an answer to a hope, even a prayer that I had to have a profound Dharma brother to share my life with. Of course, then he goes and moves from Hawaii, but that's another story. True to form, he's not what you might say a normal or usual guy. He's Hungarian born, raised on the East Coast. He's an ex-lawyer, ex-acupuncturist. He's also speaks 11 languages and is bright beyond belief, but also has the uncanny ability of not making me feel less than. He's probably the most dedicated spiritual seeker I know. He's somewhat like his father, who was a stamp collector, only in Bob's case he collects spiritual teachings and wisdom. He's a profoundly interesting man and delightful, and it's a privilege to call him a friend. My wife asked him what he's done since the summer where he was teaching his group in Colorado, just to give you a sense of how dedicated of a practitioner he is. And he says, well, on the way back he stopped in Iowa for 5 days and did a fairly esoteric Tibetan retreat called Vajra, and then stopped also in Florida on the way and did a 24/7 recitation of a prayer that's for loving kindness and compassion. So it's a privilege to call him a friend. If there's anything I would hope for is that our interview has a bit of what our morning coffee sessions have, like, where we cover everything from politics to personal wounds to spiritual growth and to all kinds of fun things. So welcome, Bob. Let's chat, and I'm going to get a little personal here. To say that you did not have an Asian inherent upbringing would be quite an understatement.
Yes.
You were raised in Hungary, in Budapest.
Correct.
You're one of the few people, trying not to refer to age here, but you were actually under Nazi rule. You lived under Nazi rule.
I was born during the war.
Right, and then later actually knew communism, communist control as a very much your worldview, your political system. So I wonder if you just talk about what that's left with you and in you, and how it's helped you, how it's made you work harder.
Well, on a personal level, I guess it left me with a non-group-oriented view, in the sense that I don't join political organizations. I think political organizations are, like I was talking about time, you know, they have their time. They will last for so long and then they will change. Mm-hmm. And I've experienced that personally a number of different times under different circumstances. And so I believe in very much that we can construct and cultivate the positive qualities within ourselves, within our society, within our environment, and that's what I put my focus on, rather than political parties and large-scale organizations that I've just seen come and go a number of times in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you find that hopeful?
I think that's wonderful. I think it's an opening to, just as this time has never happened before, these ways of looking at the world have never happened before. So in that sense, it's exciting.
Yeah, and you and I have chatted about 2012 and the Mayan calendar, and also kind of just some sort of shift that we sense or feel it's happening. Apropos of that, is that what you're speaking about, this kind of opening, invitation?
It is. And
globalization on a really fabulous heart consciousness level.
Consciousness level, right. And this is a little bit of a shift from the Buddhist framework or the Tibetan framework, but
I think that's okay.
But I did have the good fortune to spend some time in a high mountain peaks of the Andes and studying with some of the Q'ero shamans. Mm-hmm. And in the 1990s, they were talking about how the consciousness shift of their world was radically altered by the appearance of the European culture.
Yes.
Specifically the conquistadors, and how the transformation happened, the way that they used to see the world, and then the more modern scientific Western ways of seeing. Again, without any valence, without this is good or bad or right or wrong. I mean,
Right.
but what they're saying is that the time now is another one of these radical shifts in consciousness. But this time, it's not something that's happening only in the Andes.
Right.
This is not just happening in terms of their world. This is happening globally. And, you know, similarly, there are other traditions around, you know, Native American traditions, etc., that talk about this time that of global shift of consciousness. And I think that's the one that we're talking about. The interesting thing is that nobody really knows what it's going to look like. Everybody says it's about to congeal or settle into a new picture, but it's a little bit like, I think, that traditional story of the elephant. Somebody, you know, gets a hold of the leg, and it's like a pillar, and, you know, things like that. So we're seeing different aspects, but the whole thing hasn't seemingly showed itself yet. And I think that's what we get to participate in. Not only that, but what's interesting is that it's not happening to us, but it's happening through us. It's like we bring who we are, and that completes the picture. It's not like we're waiting for something from the outside to happen. It's more like by doing our work, that's what, those are the pieces that the mosaic needs.
Right.
You know, so I may be the little blue piece here, and you may be the little yellow piece over there, but, you know, we can't yet see at least I can't yet see the big picture.
I'm hearing a lot of positivism, though, and a lot of can-do in this, a lot of hope.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of we can affect our worlds.
We are constantly affecting our world.
But now it's going to be even more so on a much more powerful level.
Yes, it is. And you know, it is true that, you know, the more spectacular things that we see on television, the violence and some of the destruction that we see, and yes, that is happening, but at the same time, you know, that's one aspect, which is perhaps you could say that's the cleaning up, the destructive aspect, but there is also the growing aspect. So as something is being like in the tree, I mean, as the leaves fall and as the fruit falls, and then if you leave it there, it's going to rot, and that's fine because it's the fertilizer for the next one. And so it's the natural process that we're seeing both the destruction. We're not quite as capable of seeing the construction or the evolution of the new that's also happening simultaneously, and have been very strongly affected by it.
Very strongly.
Yeah.
What does make you laugh?
What makes me laugh? A hummingbird makes me laugh.
Yeah, pretty funny.
A butterfly makes me laugh. A hibiscus makes me laugh. Beauty makes me laugh. It's not just a matter of like humor. It's more a quality of joy.